1. Mosquitoes. Mosquitoes are popular because they represent the most unexpected truth. The deadliest insects on Earth are also the smallest. You hear mosquito, and you think nuisance, a bite, an itch, a flick of irritation. But behind that sound, that faint whining buzz, lies a legacy of disease and devastation. Mosquitoes kill more humans than any other animal, not deliberately, but through what they carry: malaria, dengue, Zika, yellow fever, West Nile. They are tiny syringes with wings navigating your world with impossible precision. You imagine a mosquito drifting through humid dusk. The air is warm, the sky is orange. Your skin is exposed for only a moment, and the insect lands. Lightly, methodically, its needle-thin proboscis searches for blood, unaware that this single act has shaped human history more than countless wars. This is the paradox of the deadliest insects. They are gentle in appearance, lethal in consequence. Mosquitoes remind you that the most dangerous threats are often the ones small enough to slip through your defenses. 2. Tsetse flies. Tsetse flies are popular because they embody a different flavor of danger. Deadliest insects that weaponize sleep itself. You hear tsetse, and the word buzzes with an uneasy rhythm, like a lullaby you shouldn't trust. Found across sub-Saharan Africa, tsetse flies transmit trypanosomes, the parasites responsible for sleeping sickness. Victims become exhausted, disoriented, and eventually fall into a neurological collapse that feels like fading from the inside out. You imagine a tsetse fly approaching, larger than a typical housefly, wings shimmering in harsh sunlight. Its bite is painful, a sudden spark of awareness quickly replaced by a creeping fatigue. A sickness that lingers like a shadow at the edge of consciousness. These deadliest insects remind you that danger doesn't always strike like lightning. Sometimes it pulls you down slowly, gently, quietly, until waking up becomes the hardest fight of your life. 3. Assassin bugs. Assassin bugs are popular because they carry a name that feels earned. Deadliest insects designed like tiny mercenaries of the underbrush. You hear assassin bug, and your imagination creates something exaggerated, but reality is more terrifying. These insects transmit Chagas disease, a parasite that destroys organs quietly over years. Their bite often happens while victims sleep, earning them the nickname kissing bugs because they target soft tissue near the mouth. You imagine an assassin bug climbing along a dark wall at night. Its movements are careful, precise. It finds a face, it bites. The victim doesn't wake. But life changes forever. This deadliest insects category teaches you that horror doesn't require size, speed, or spectacle. Sometimes danger arrives gently, disguised as something almost harmless. Assassin bugs remind you that some killers don't chase. They wait. 4. Fleas. Fleas are popular because they hold a place in history unlike any other deadliest insects, tiny creatures that once altered the fate of continents. You hear flea, and you recall pets scratching or a pinprick on your ankle. But these small parasites once carried the Black Death, the bubonic plague that ravaged medieval Europe. Fleas leap extraordinary distances, their tiny bodies acting like biological springs. They live on blood, hiding in fur, cloth, and shadows. They do not need attention to thrive, only warmth. You imagine a flea nestled in the fur of a rat moving through a crowded medieval port. One jump, one bite, one bacterium, and history spirals into chaos. This is the legacy of the deadliest insects. Not always violence, but transmission. Fleas remind you that entire civilizations have toppled because of creatures too small to crush underfoot. 5. Driver ants. Driver ants are popular because they represent force in numbers. Deadliest insects that are dangerous not individually, but as a living, moving army. You hear driver ants, and you picture swarms, but the reality is more intense. Driver ants hunt in columns that can stretch for miles. They eat anything that cannot escape, stripping flesh from bone in minutes. Their jaws lock with ferocious strength, and their collective intelligence functions like a single organism. You imagine a forest floor trembling with movement. Leaves shake, soil shifts. A dark river of ants pours forward, consuming everything in its path with grim efficiency. Even large animals flee. This category of deadliest insects teaches you that danger sometimes arrives not as a singular threat, but as a wave. Driver ants remind you that nature's most terrifying forces are the ones that don't stop. 6. Bullet ants. Bullet ants are popular because they carry one of the most agonizing stings ever recorded. Deadliest insects. not for mortality, but for torment. You hear bullet ant, and you think exaggeration. But every witness agrees, the pain is like being shot. Their venom floods nerves with signals of burning, throbbing fire. Some describe it as waves of pure agony rolling through the body. A ritual among certain tribes requires initiates to endure dozens of stings, a test of spirit and endurance. You imagine a bullet ant climbing a tree trunk. Its body glistens like obsidian under jungle humidity. It doesn't seek trouble, but when threatened, it delivers pain that rewrites your understanding of suffering. These deadliest insects remind you that death is not the only danger. Some creatures control nerves, not lives. Bullet ants teach you that survival sometimes comes with the cost of endurance. 7. Asian Giant Hornets. Asian giant hornets are popular because they represent ferocity taken to its logical extreme. Deadliest insects built like flying daggers. You hear giant hornet, and your pulse tightens. These hornets can grow up to 2 inches long. Their stingers inject venom that dissolves tissue and sends shockwaves of pain through victims. Groups of them can wipe out entire honeybee colonies within hours. You imagine a hornet landing on a branch. Its mandibles open, slicing through leaves with terrifying ease. Its wings vibrate with a low, unsettling hum, a mechanical drone made alive. A single sting can hospitalize, multiple can kill. These deadliest insects are not subtle. They are brutality with wings. Asian giant hornets remind you that evolution sometimes chooses intimidation as its masterpiece. 8. Fire ants. Fire ants are popular because they represent chaos. Deadliest insects that don't just sting, but swarm with terrifying speed. You hear fire ants, and you feel phantom tingles rising across your skin. Fire ants attack in coordinated bursts. Their venom burns intensely, causing blisters and allergic reactions. Their colonies spread aggressively, invading homes, fields, and forests. You imagine stepping onto what looks like ordinary soil. But the ground shifts. A cluster of fire ants rises. They climb your legs, biting and stinging simultaneously until pain becomes a molten blur. These deadliest insects show you that size is irrelevant when incredible numbers join a singular purpose. Fire ants remind you that danger can erupt without warning and without mercy. 9. Africanized honeybees. Africanized honeybees are popular because they represent fear wrapped in misunderstanding. Deadliest insects that kill not through venom, but through relentless coordination. You hear killer bee, and you imagine chaos unfolding in the air. Africanized bees are hybrids created during a Brazilian breeding experiment gone wrong. They escaped, adapted, spread, and defended their hives with unmatched aggression. A single disturbance can trigger a full-force attack, with thousands of bees pursuing victims for miles. You imagine a hive whispering with motion. The slightest vibration, a footstep, a passing animal, a human breath too close, sparks fury. A cloud erupts, not random, but unified. Each bee stings once, but the swarm stings endlessly. These deadliest insects remind you that sometimes the threat isn't one predator. It's thousands acting as one. Africanized bees teach you that evolution doesn't need to create stronger venom to make stronger fear. It only needs to create stronger instinct. 10. Kissing bugs. Kissing bugs are popular because they demonstrate that not all deadliest insects rely on venom or force. Some weaponize biology and timing. You hear kissing bug, and the name sounds gentle, but the reality is anything but. These insects creep onto sleeping victims and bite near the lips or eyes, soft skin rich in blood. But the bite itself isn't the problem, it's what comes after. They defecate near the wound, and the victim unknowingly rubs the parasite-laced feces into the bite, eyes, or mouth. The result is Chagas disease, a slow, destructive illness that can damage the heart and digestive system over years. You imagine a quiet night, open windows, warm air, a faint movement across your cheek, no pain, no sound, just a small moment you forget, until years later. These deadliest insects teach you that some threats don't want you to notice them at all. Kissing bugs remind you that the most dangerous encounters are the ones you sleep through. 11. Botflies. Botflies are popular because they touch a unique primal fear. Deadliest insects that use the human body as a nursery. You hear botfly, and a chill crawls beneath your skin. Botflies lay eggs on mosquitoes or ticks, hitchhiking their way to mammal hosts. When the carrier lands and bites, warmth triggers the eggs to hatch, burrowing larvae into flesh. The victim soon feels movement under the skin, accompanied by pain and swelling. You imagine walking through humid rainforest air. A mosquito lands. A brief sting. You slap it away. And somewhere beneath your skin, something begins to grow. This category of deadliest insects doesn't kill directly, but it reshapes your relationship with your own body, turning it into something fragile, invaded, and unfamiliar. Botflies remind you that nature holds horrors that operate quietly beneath the surface. 12. Caterpillars. Caterpillars are popular because they contradict expectation. Soft, slow, fragile creatures that hide the power to injure, paralyze, or even kill. You hear caterpillar, and you think harmless. But in the world of deadliest insects, appearances mean nothing. Certain species like the Lonomia obliqua carry venom in their spines capable of causing massive internal bleeding and organ failure. Others leave behind hairs that trigger skin necrosis or life-threatening allergic reactions. You imagine brushing against a leaf. It's subtle, barely noticeable, but a tiny spine pierces your skin, delivering venom that begins rewriting your blood chemistry. These deadliest insects teach you that danger often masks itself in innocence. Caterpillars remind you that beauty can disguise biological warfare. 13. Deerflies. Deerflies are popular because they represent persistence. Deadliest insects that pursue relentlessly, biting with precision, and spreading disease without mercy. You hear deerfly, and you feel the sting before you even see it. These insects transmit tularemia, a dangerous bacterial infection, along with various parasitic worms. Their bites are sharp, tearing small wounds that bleed easily. They chase both humans and animals with uncanny determination. You imagine walking along a forest trail. A faint buzzing, a sharp bite. You swat, but the fly returns. Again and again. This is the defining trait of these deadliest insects: relentlessness. Deerflies remind you that survival in the wild is a constant negotiation between you and the creatures that feed on you. You've walked through a world where size means nothing, where silence hides danger, where the deadliest insects on Earth rewrite human history, reshape ecosystems, and haunt the edge of your imagination. You've watched insects that deliver agony, insects that steal sleep, insects that swarm in waves, insects that hollow lives quietly, slowly, insects that carry worlds of sickness on microscopic backs. And now you understand something unsettling. The Earth is not ruled by the largest creatures. It is ruled by the smallest. These deadliest insects are architects of fate. They determine who thrives, who suffers, who survives, and who disappears from the timeline of history. Their power is ancient, silent, and absolute. A reminder that life is fragile. A reminder that control is an illusion. A reminder that the tiniest heartbeat can trigger the greatest consequences. And as you stand at the edge of this story, one truth echoes like a whisper in the dark. You don't have to fear the monsters you can see. You have to fear the ones small enough to slip through the cracks. Because the deadliest insects are still here, watching, waiting, living in the spaces between your awareness, and they will outlast everything.